Welcome to Manna at the Tap, a podcast of Tapestry Ministries. Each episode reflects on a daily Bible reading from the Revised Common Lectionary. I'm Gloria, a fellow traveler on a spiritual journey with the Tapestry community, and we refer to the daily Bible reading as our spiritual manna, nourishing our souls and fostering growth as we share insights and interpretations that enrich our spiritual lives. Today is Good Friday, April 18th, 2025, and it marks the 39th day of the Lenten journey. It was a long day for Jesus, beginning on Monday, Thursday evening, when he gathered his disciples for dinner. As the dinner progressed, he washed their dirty feet, telling them to wash each other's feet in remembrance of him. Then he gave them an updated command. They were to love one another as he had loved them. The lectionary reading is the Gospel of John, chapters 18 and 19. All the events in these two chapters take place in one day. Jesus and his disciples finished dinner and then walked over to a garden area where they often went for some retreat time. The peace and quiet of the evening were disturbed when Judas came to the garden, guiding a cohort of armed Roman soldiers, about 600 men. Jesus asked who they were looking for, and they said, Jesus of Nazareth. He told them, I am he. As they were arresting Jesus, his disciple Peter, one of his closest followers, attacked and deformed the right ear of a young man with a sword he had concealed. Jesus had to perform a miracle and heal the young man's ear. Then Jesus was taken to the home of the high priest, and only two of his disciples, Peter and John, followed behind. John knew the security guard at the high priest's home, and Peter and he were allowed into the courtyard. It was now early, very early Friday morning, and it was cold outside. Peter kept himself warm around the fire, and when he was asked if he was a disciple of Jesus, he responded, I am not. In the meantime, Jesus was questioned by Pilate, the Roman governor, who wasn't sure what the charges against him were. Pilate told the religious leaders to do whatever you want with Jesus, but they put it back in his court. Peter is still warming himself up by the fire and is again asked if he's a disciple of Jesus. He denies it. I am not. A relative of the man whose ear was cut off challenged Peter, telling him he saw him in the garden. For the third time, Peter denied it, and a rooster begins to crow at that moment, a sign of Peter's betrayal, just as Jesus had predicted. Then Pilate tried to question Jesus about being king of the Jews. But Jesus told Pilate his kingdom was not of this world. If it were, his servants would fight to prevent his arrest. Pilate seemed confused by Jesus' answers to his questions, and he asked Jesus, what is truth anyway? Pilate and the religious leaders had further discussions, and he told them he could find nothing wrong with Jesus and wanted to release him. It was the custom each year to release one prisoner. The religious leaders shouted that they wanted another prisoner to be freed and Jesus to be crucified. With his conviction complete, Jesus was flogged and he carried his own cross to the hill where he would be crucified. The soldiers then stripped him of his clothing and divided them among themselves. Jesus had a special seamless one-piece garment, and the soldiers had a lottery to see who would get it. As the end drew near, Jesus in his agony looked down from the cross at the few who remained. His faithful disciple John stood by as Jesus entrusted his mother to his care. A group of women, their hearts heavy with grief, also bore witness. But as Jesus breathed his last breath, only Mary Magdalene remained, gazing upon his lifeless body. The Sabbath was about to begin. Jesus was already dead, and a wealthy man named Joseph, a secret disciple of Jesus, asked Pilate for permission to take the body of Jesus down from the cross. He was joined by his friend Nicodemus, and together the two men wrapped Jesus' body with spices and linen strips. Jesus was then laid in a nearby tomb in a garden.